Maro. Inche istongo jok hayedegan. Chelsea Tlatlo, jihi jokro. Hi, my name is Chelsea Fish. Did you make it through the night okay? I hope you did. I'm the executive director of the National American Indian Housing Council. As Senator Smith mentioned, I'm a member of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma and originally from a very small town called Tishomingo in southeastern Oklahoma in one of the poorest counties of the state, Johnston County. We grew up living in a very overcrowded home in my family. We lived just off of a dirt road, and there were about 20 of us at any given time nestled into my grandmother's home on our original trust land that was heated by wood stove. The National American Indian Housing Council was created by tribal housing programs back in 1974, and for over 5 decades, we've provided invaluable training and technical assistance to all tribes, tribal housing entities, and to Congress. We represent 293 members, all of which are federally recognized, and represent 493 tribal housing organizations, all of whom are constituents of this Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate the opportunity to deliver this message on behalf of tribal communities this afternoon. It really is an outstanding opportunity for me, coming from the background that I do. Just a small little country girl from the middle of nowhere, or so I thought. Thank you for allowing this opportunity. I stand before you to shed light on a very pressing issue, and that issue is housing in Native American communities and here in the United States. It is uncanny how unaware that people are of the housing conditions in tribal territories and reservations. Every day I talk to people who are completely oblivious to some of the amounts of poverty and the impoverished situations and really the downtrodden situations that we find on Indian reservations. It's like nowhere else. Despite the progress made in recent decades, many tribal communities continue to face the significant challenges of poverty, including substandard housing, overcrowding, and homelessness. The median income of a Native American household is 30% less than the national average. Native American communities also experience higher rates of substandard housing with a significant number of homes lacking complete plumbing, kitchen, and sufficient heating. I'll say that again, significant amount of homes. We're looking at 15.9% of homes being overcrowded compared to only 2.2% nationally. The lack of adequate housing in Indian country is a direct result of insufficient funding and resources. The Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act was enacted in 1996, and it was a step in the right direction, but Congress has failed to fulfill its trust obligation and really has been neglectful of the tribal community by keeping funding stagnant for more than 20 years. The purchasing power of these funds allocated for what we know as the Indian Housing Block Grant, which is the mechanism for getting money out to the tribes for developing housing, has diminished significantly due to inflation, leading to a rapid decline in new housing construction. Since 1998, tribal housing programs have lost $3.4 billion in funding by not keeping up with inflation compared to our sister program, the National Public Housing Program. To address the housing crisis in Indian country, we need Congress to increase funding, and we plead with Congress to increase this funding in NAHASDA. The current funding levels are inadequate. Many tribes receiving less than $500,000 to operate their housing programs. Tribes simply cannot build more homes with such limited funding. Our geographical challenges alone, including isolation, the lack of developed housing, inaccessible lending markets, only exacerbate this problem. Reauthorizing NAHASDA is crucial. We need an increased amount of resources and programmatic changes that streamline our housing programs. This reauthorization bill contains provisions that can enhance tribal access to funding, simplify various aspects of HUD and the Indian Housing Block Grant Program, Tribes need the flexibility to tailor their housing plans to their specific needs and priorities. An example of this flexibility is the prioritization of funds. As Senator Smith mentioned, Indians and Native Americans will not allow our elders and our needy and our vulnerable persons to go without. They will be prioritized. So a lot of our funds go to the prioritization of housing for elderly, and that leaves mothers of children, single mothers of children, parents who are whose children are going into the homes of family members, so on and so forth, without. I'd like to highlight a couple of examples to illustrate the current housing situation in Native American communities. In Nulato, Alaska, which is a remote village with no roads leading in or out, there's a need for nearly 20 homes. The population in Nulato is just over 200. But the estimated cost of construction of a single-family home is over $670,000. The current income level at the Nahasda rate in Nulato only allows for 29% of a home to be built in one single year. Similarly, the Comanche Nation Housing Authority in Oklahoma focuses on rehabilitating existing homes due to limited funding. There are resources available from various funding federal agencies, including HUD, U.S. Treasury, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Veterans Administration. However, tribes often face enormous barriers in accessing these resources. Some of these programs have requirements in them that do not honor and respect tribal sovereignty and self-determination by forcing them to collaborate with other community-based organizations to have paths through access to the resources. But moreover, home ownership remains a significant challenge in Indian country. As we all just discussed in our opening, federal trust land cannot be used to secure a home loan, and lenders see doing business with tribes a risk. There is no incentive for lenders to do business with tribal nations or tribal citizens. There are no penalties from doing so either. Native borrowers.
I'm so sorry
Yes,
to
ma'am.
interrupt you, Ms. Fish. You're about 2 minutes
Sure.
over. So if you could wrap up, we'd be very happy to, we'll be able to get at the rest of your comments and our questions as well.
It says I have 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
No, that's how much you're over.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize.
No worries, no worries.
It's the responsibility of this committee and Congress to fulfill its treaty obligations to tribal nations and restore Nahasda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Goggles.